Imagine a quiet room in England around 1810. A woman sits beside a window, writing quickly on a small sheet of paper. Then, the door creaks. She immediately hides the pages beneath a piece of blotting paper. She had asked her family never to fix that noisy door. She needed the warning. Her name was Jane Austen. The hidden pages would become Pride and Prejudice. She published without her real name, never married, and died before the world understood who she truly was. Jane Austen was born in 1775 in Steventon, a small village in Hampshire, England. Her world was quiet. Green fields, narrow country roads, an old church, and families who had known one another for generations. Her father, George Austen, was the local clergyman and a devoted reader. Her mother, Cassandra, was intelligent and known for her sharp sense of humor. Jane was the seventh of 8 children. Their home was crowded, lively, and never wealthy. But it held something more valuable than money: books. Her father owned a library of more than 500 volumes, and Jane was allowed to read freely. She discovered novels, poetry, history, and plays. Before she understood much about the wider world, books had already opened one for her. By the age of 12, Jane was already writing. But her first stories were not serious or careful. They were wild, funny, and full of mischief. She loved making fun of the dramatic novels popular at the time. Stories filled with fainting heroines, kidnappings, and impossible coincidences. She wrote short plays and tiny novels for her family, who read them aloud and laughed together. While most children were still learning how the world worked, Jane Austen had already begun to notice how ridiculous it could be. Jane's closest companion was her older sister, Cassandra. The two sisters were almost inseparable. They shared a bedroom for much of their lives and wrote long letters whenever they were apart. In those letters, Jane described dances, neighbors, family news, and the strange behavior of people around her with the same sharp humor that later appeared in her novels. Cassandra became Jane's first reader, closest friend, and most trusted protector. She was the person who knew Jane not as a famous writer, but simply as a sister. But as Jane grew older, she discovered that intelligence and talent were not enough to give a woman freedom. As Jane grew older, she entered a world where a woman's future depended heavily on marriage. Women had few ways to earn a respectable living. Property, education, and financial independence were largely controlled by men. Without a husband, many women had to depend on fathers, brothers, or other relatives for security. So marriage was not simply about romance. It could decide where a woman lived, how safely she lived, and what kind of future she could have. Jane understood this pressure deeply. That is why money and marriage appear again and again in her novels. She saw the conflict clearly. The heart might want love, but society often demanded something more practical. In December 1795, 20-year-old Jane met Tom Lefroy at a local dance. He was young, clever, charming, and studying law. More importantly, he could match Jane's wit. They shared books, jokes, and several dances over the following weeks. People began to notice how often they were together. Jane wrote playfully about Tom in letters to Cassandra, but beneath the teasing was something more serious. For perhaps the first time, Jane Austen was not simply observing a love story. She was living one. But there was one problem: money. Tom Lefroy had no fortune of his own. His future depended on a wealthy great-uncle who was helping pay for his legal career. Jane had little money too, and marrying her could have cost Tom the support he needed. His family saw the risk. Soon, Tom was sent away. He returned to Ireland, and Jane never saw him again. Years later, Tom admitted that he had once loved Jane, though he dismissed it as a young man's affection. For Jane, the ending may have cut deeper. She had discovered something painful that would later shape her novels. Sometimes love is real, but the world still says no. Jane never married. Years after Tom Lefroy left, she received a proposal from Harris Bigwither, a wealthy family friend. Jane said yes, but that night she could not sleep. By morning, she changed her answer. Marriage would have given her security, comfort, and a safer future. But she did not love him. So Jane chose uncertainty over a life that felt false. It was one of the clearest choices she ever made. She chose herself. Experiences like these helped Jane understand the emotional world she would later explore in her writing. She understood the excitement of attraction, the pain of separation, and the pressure of choosing security over love. Again and again, her novels return to the same conflict: what the heart wants versus what society allows. Her characters fall in love, misunderstand one another, worry about money, and face choices shaped by class and family expectations. Jane did not simply invent these tensions. She had lived them, and by turning private disappointment into fiction, she transformed personal pain into stories that millions of readers would one day recognize as their own. In her early 20s, Jane completed her first major novels. One was called Eleanor and Marianne, later rewritten as Sense and Sensibility. Another was First Impressions, which would become Pride and Prejudice. But success did not come quickly. In 1797, her father sent First Impressions to a London publisher. It was rejected. Jane did not stop. She revised, rewrote, and kept working for years. The book the world would later celebrate had first been turned away. In 1811, after years of waiting, Jane finally saw Sense and Sensibility published. But her name was nowhere on the cover. Instead, it simply said, "By a Lady." At the time, writing novels could still be considered improper for a respectable woman, so Jane chose to remain anonymous. The book quietly found readers. Critics praised it, and Jane earned about £140 from its success. It was not a fortune, but for the first time, her writing had given her something rare: money she had earned herself. Jane Austen was still invisible to the public. Her words were not. In 1813, Pride and Prejudice was published, and readers loved it. Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy quickly became unforgettable characters, and the first printing sold out. Even powerful figures admired Jane's novels. Yet most readers still had no idea who had written them. At one dinner, Jane listened quietly as a guest praised Pride and Prejudice, never realizing the author was sitting nearby. Jane simply smiled. Her book was becoming famous. She was still hidden. Jane published 4 novels during her lifetime: Sense and Sensibility, Pride and Prejudice, Mansfield Park, and Emma. She did not write about great wars, kings, or distant adventures. She wrote about families, money, manners, marriage, and the small choices that quietly shape a life. That was her genius. A conversation at a dinner table could feel as tense as a battlefield. A single sentence could reveal pride, jealousy, kindness, or self-deception. Jane made ordinary life feel important. She showed that a woman's thoughts, choices, disappointments, and hopes were worthy of serious literature. Her world looked small, but inside it she captured something enormous: human nature. In early 1816, Jane's health began to fail. She grew tired easily, her back ached, and her strength slowly disappeared. Still, she kept writing. She was working on Persuasion, a quieter and more tender novel about love, regret, and the possibility of a second chance. Now, with time growing short, she was writing about what it might mean to find love again. By the spring of 1817, Jane was growing weaker. Holding a pen for long periods became difficult, but she still tried to write. She began a new novel, Steventon, filled with fresh characters and sharp observations. Then her strength failed. After only a few chapters, she had to stop. Her handwriting, once small and precise, became shaky and uneven. In May, her family took her to Winchester, hoping better doctors could help. They could not. Jane had spent most of her life turning quiet rooms into entire worlds. Now, at only 41, even writing a single page was becoming impossible. On July 18, 1817, Jane Austen died in Winchester. She was only 41 years old. Her beloved sister Cassandra was with her at the end. The exact cause of Jane's illness is still uncertain, but for Cassandra, the loss was simple and devastating. She had lost the person who knew her best. Jane was gone before she could see how far her books would travel. The woman who had spent years writing quietly had no idea the world would. One day, remember her name. Jane was buried in Winchester Cathedral. Her grave praised her faith, kindness, and character, but said nothing about her novels. There was no mention of Pride and Prejudice, no celebration of the woman who had created some of English literature's most unforgettable characters. It was a strange ending for a writer whose words would outlive almost everyone around her. At the time, Jane Austen was still not recognized as the literary giant she would become. She had spent much of her life hidden behind the words, "by a lady." Even in death, her true importance remained almost invisible. But that silence would not last forever. After Jane's death, her brother Henry helped publish her remaining novels and finally revealed her name. At first, many readers still saw her as a pleasant but minor writer. Then that began to change. Over time, critics and readers recognized the precision behind her stories. Jane had not simply written romances. She had written about pride, vanity, self-deception, kindness, and the quiet ways people misunderstand one another. The woman once hidden behind, "by a lady," was finally becoming Jane Austen. Today, Jane Austen is one of the most celebrated writers in the English language. Her novels have been translated around the world and Pride and Prejudice has inspired countless films, television series, and stage adaptations. Her former home in Hampshire became a museum visited by readers from many countries. Her portrait even appeared on British currency, and millions of devoted fans still call themselves Janeites. The woman who once wrote quietly at a tiny table, hiding her pages when someone entered the room, is no longer hidden. More than 2 centuries later, readers are still meeting Elizabeth Bennet, Mr. Darcy, and the unforgettable world Jane created. There is a beautiful irony at the center of Jane Austen's life. She wrote some of the most famous love stories in the English language, yet she never married. Tom Lefroy disappeared from her life. She refused a wealthy man she did not love, and she spent her remaining years close to her sister, Cassandra. Jane created love stories filled with longing, disappointment, misunderstanding, and second chances. She understood that love was never only about romance. It was also about timing, choice, money, and loss. And so we return to that quiet room. A woman sits at a tiny table, writing quickly before someone enters. She has no wealth, no powerful title, and no private study of her own. When the door creaks, she covers her pages and waits. Jane Austen spent much of her life hidden. She published without her name. She worked quietly. She died before the world fully understood what she had created. But the words refused to stay hidden. They survived the small room, the closed doors, and the society that expected her to remain ordinary. More than 200 years later, those words are still being read. Jane Austen disappeared. Her voice did not, and perhaps that is why Jane's story still matters. She spent years searching for the right words, even when the world gave her little space to use them. As you learn English, you are searching for your own words too. Some days they come easily, some days they do not. But keep speaking, keep writing, keep learning. Jane chose her own path. You are choosing yours. Before you go, tell me, which moment stayed with you most? The creaky door, Jane's dances with Tom Lefroy, or the moment she quietly listened as someone praised Pride and Prejudice? Leave your answer below. And if you enjoy learning English through stories like this, there are many more waiting for you here. Until next time, keep listening, keep speaking, and keep learning.